What's up, guys? Just doing an analysis video here for those of you learning my method. I actually haven't been able to trade this week until possibly today, if I end up taking a trade. I know this time of year we could run into some sort of dead spots, but let's see, and at least apply the analysis and see where it leads. So again, I haven't really looked at the charts this week, so I figured it was good to record my analysis sort of in real time, and really I'm starting from the very beginning to kind of get my bearings again and everything here. So we'll start from the very beginning, which is the large time frames, and really see where are we, right? And as I say, you want to start big and get a view of where you are in the big picture, so we might as well do that. We've been in this range since January 15th. We had a nice fake breakout, and we're pretty much back to the top of the range. So in the big picture, just to get a view of where we are on this, we did pop up just in the last few days there and test some of the higher areas. Technically, the range really does go all the way up to here, or the previous high is here, marking these two top of the range. And so it looks like we may have touched that this time, and it doesn't mean, we may test higher. We may be seeing weakness here, so we got to get in here to see. But we're starting to get into the top area, top zone of this range, and particularly some resistance perhaps. But obviously it's trending upward at the moment, and it's actually a pretty strong trend. Let's go to the daily chart. Now it has some slower periods in it here, and spent a bunch of days ranging here before this quick pop-up. So it's not exactly, efficiently moving up. It spends a lot of time flat, but the story right now is the new high ground over this range that's been established for a little while, and how it's reacting here is going to give us some good information. Now, we didn't quite touch that resistance. That's this, just to have it exact. And if we're trending up and again into new high ground, and we're not seeing much weakness, my first thought is we're likely going to this point before anything else, unless we are seeing weakness, but perhaps we are. So let's get in there and see. So we're generally trending upward, but nearing some resistance. If we look at the 1 hour chart, again, there's a lot of days where I did go sideways, but new high ground here, right, on this trend. And to get the information there, how much weakness may or may not be coming in. If I'm looking at a trend, that's the one of the most important pieces of information is at the higher prices, how much selling may or may not be coming in. And here's the higher price area. It spent a few hours up there, and you actually see decreasing volume, and already this is telling me it's not really a reversal situation where I'd be looking to go against this move. If we are rejecting some of that higher resistance, you're going to tend to see some higher volume stuff, and not seeing price sitting at high levels for multiple hours. Typically, if there's high volume, if there's a large amount of selling against the trend, and you're expecting maybe a reversal, the higher prices are going to, as it goes up and up, attract more and more sell activity, right? So if we look there, again, focusing on the high here to get a lot of information about the health of the trend. Is there a lot of profit taking? Is there distribution, right? Whatever you want to call it. So let's check that out. And here we are, July 18th. Here's the high prices. And there may initially have been some weakness here and there. Again, higher prices, weakness comes in. Here we go, slightly higher, weakness comes in, right? But it's not consistent selling. I would definitely imagine there's some profit taking, maybe some aggressive shorts, but we're not quite at resistance yet. But I would consider this likely a lot of, again, it's an uptrend. It's been an uptrend for a while. And what's more in the market right now is a lot of long positions, right? And some of these higher prices, could have been planned a long time ago. Maybe they're even numbers. This is 115.50. Right there on the close, pretty much. So I think it's more of a profit taking rather than seeing a building up of short positions, which would really have price reject these higher areas. It did accept higher prices. This to me gives away a lot. Again, talking about really the highest price area. This is not distribution, weakness, building up of short positions, right? So I'm going a little slow here, but just to thoroughly explain. So that's telling me I want to stay with this direction. Now we can continue and see what else is going on. But that's a big piece of information. So that alone, unless something else magical happens, which is not going to happen here, that tells me I'm not looking to go short. Now, if we're seeing on this retracement of the trend, right, a rebuilding up of long positions, right, reaccumulation, then we're looking to get back in, perhaps test the high and maybe go to this resistance. So a very crude, sort of projection is that we're going to get to there. That's not right. No, I'll fix that later. At least get rid of the ray. Okay. So that's simply the projection right now. We did have a couple of fake breakouts of support, and maybe there is some strength coming in there, so let's take a look. Now, it's not very sort of choppy in there, but let's see what volume is telling us. Again, the 18th was the high, so the 19th was a bit of a retracement. And do we see a reaccumulation, strength coming in? What do we see here? Not so much. Nothing really stands out. There's a bit of weakness, a bit of strength, and it just kind of goes sideways rather than maybe some concentrated strength. So what would be very helpful is for this thing to maybe retrace a bit further. And if we mark up some of the levels, that was pretty much going into today, the support. So again, to look into new low ground, where if buyers are interested, they would likely be attracted. Technically, that's a sign of strength there. Test for sellers here. They showed up to some extent. And some pretty strong buying through here. Okay. If we look at the 15. But of course, we want to get into London in session, and we'll see a little more activity pick up and something a little clearer. So what I would, the closest thing to a trade here would be, as we get into London Open, to see possibly, first of all, a move down, maybe down to the support, maybe even a little further, and see, once volume picks up for the day, see some strength coming in, right? Maybe another fake breakout pattern they can have it multiple times. So any signs of strength going into London in this area. Now, if we draw, what else could we draw? There's not really support, resistance. If it wants to go any lower while you're waiting for sort of strength to come in a retracement trade, here's the previous resistance turn support. If it wants to go that low, this I will take as the last leg up, which gives us a fib retracement. Oh, that kind of works there, doesn't it? That 50 fib, which explains the retracement. See, I drew this as support, right? Going into today, and it happens to be exactly, let me draw that exactly right, the 50 fib, and this line too. See, when things snap together, it's always nice. It's actually pretty clean for this time of year. And that was the other line that I drew, and that's 618, right, 50 and 618. So that really highlights the importance of testing this area and seeing strength, right? Not only is it new low ground, fake breakout pattern sort of stuff, but of course fib retracement, which is one of the basic good high probability situations. So if there's another drop down, strength and entry. Again, there is some strength here, but once you get into London, it'll be nice to read. Now, if it just starts to move up and you test some of these resistance areas and there's sort of a no supply situation, sort of a basic VSA entry at resistance, really what that's saying is lack of selling. It may continue up from there to look for an entry, but ideally it drops into here, maybe even a quick pop into here, and a high volume sign of strength once we pick up activity for the day, and looking for an entry from that point. So that's the basic analysis on that. I guess I'll do one other pair, something different. Pound, yeah. I haven't looked at these at all yet today or this week. Yeah, there is a bit of choppiness. Again, it's typical for this time of year. AU is actually not bad. You see a pretty clean trend. It kind of inches its way up, but it's... All right, you look on the daily and you see some good activity. Okay, let's take a look at that. You don't need every pair to be giving you a good situation, right? Just hone in on the best stuff. I like this because the obviously it's an uptrend, and not some messy stuff. The 14 EMA and the 50 EMA are acting as support, which is, again, just when the tools kind of snap together and really do their thing, it tells me that the market is in a good, decent condition. Other things I would mark is maybe previous resistance turn support if it does, break the 50. But anyway, let's do a regular quick analysis on this. Again, it's a trend, and the most important thing is those high prices. Let's get a view of where we are. First of all, okay, so this is really new high ground on the weekly chart. This goes back to April 2016, and we broke through that. So really, it's been in this range. You can see for a long time. This is really new high ground. Really, we haven't seen it in a long time. So again, what goes on there is very telling. And if we look at the 1 hour chart, new high ground begins here. There was a lot of activity. What did it lead to? Higher prices, higher prices, higher prices. So this was not some sort of, obviously, trap move, fake breakout. And if we look at the higher price areas, we don't see the concentrated volume of a weakness coming in. This is aggressive buying. There may have been, this has the look of, by the way, I didn't even check news yet for today. I'll get to that before I actually get into trading mode here. But this has the look that it could have been something, fundamental that moved this. And gave a really confident breakout. So going forward, we know there's a lot of long positions. We're trending upward anyway, but there's a nice confident breakout. This hasn't shown weakness or any real rejection on high volume. Here is new high ground again after that, which is really the highest point. And we do see some weakness, right? Some. And you can see the reaction following that, right? Which is not surprising. It moved beyond the 14. It went to the 50, right? So at this point, it could go either way based on what's going to happen next. So first of all, going along with the uptrend, again, seeing some volume. It's not climactic, it's huge, but it's certainly weakness with a decent sell-off. To look for the retracement and the reaccumulation stuff. So if I put this in here, we also have that. Now it doesn't have to go this low if we're seeing reaccumulation happen here. This is the 50 EMA, access support resistance. But just to be prepared if it, throughout the day maybe goes lower. And this would be a, textbook situation here, perhaps, if there's a long setup with strength. But let's take a look at the reaction to the 50 EMA, which, again, sorry, flipping around, is just happening now. The 1 hour 50 EMA. And if we go here and look at that, and again, it's going to be, in half an hour from now, we're getting it into London Open. And we're going to get a lot better information. This is sort of a preparation analysis, you could say. So we're not going to see a signal form or some very high volume to tell us, likely anything just yet. But we do see a bit of strength, and maybe if it goes a little lower, creates maybe a double bottom pattern. But what I'm looking for, if it's going to set up in this area to get into this trend, is some high volume strength. Again, there was high volume weakness here, which tells me, as opposed to, let's say it just sort of sat at these high prices and there was no high volume, right? You would not expect much of a retracement. It would be more reasonable to look for something more aggressive, a scalp entry, not waiting for these sort of retracements. But when you see a good, healthy sign of weakness as it tries to get into new high ground, again, you can see the reaction, sort of, it picked up activity, to the downside. That gives you the, information that it's more likely to have more of a retracement. It could even go here. Off of this much weakness, right, fairly high, a retracement to a fib area is sort of reasonable, right? So you need selling for price to move down, right? So it is there to a certain extent. So I wouldn't rush the re-entry into this long situation. If we see high volume buying here, great. Or maybe as it, time goes on and we get possibly a fake breakout pattern or trying to go into new low ground and we get rejected high volume there to see buying coming in, right? And from there could look for an entry. So I wouldn't rush it knowing that sell activity was there to some extent, and we really want to see either here or even here a good amount of buying on some high volume sign of strength, right? That sort of thing. All right, so there's a couple of pairs. I'm going to start doing videos more often, just sort of randomly look around and see what might look the best for the day and give some analysis for those learning the method if you bought the course. If you have questions, you can put them in the comments section. I'll put the link to the website in the description. So hopefully that's helpful, guys. All right, see ya.